The difference is that you have to put in a lot of thought and planning into if you're going to be a plant-based bodybuilder, or you simply just want to have a nice physique. If you're working towards a fitness goal and you want to be plant-based, it takes a little thought.
Hi, I'm Magnus. I've been a trainer and nutritionist for more than 20 years. I'm here with my friend, client, Suzanne Devkota. Not only is Suzanne a black belt in Taekwondo, you're going for your second dan. Is that what it's called in Taekwondo? She's a great skier, super athletic, and she also happens to be a scientist and a professor of medicine at Cedars-Sinai here in Los Angeles. And you also work at UCLA. So today's topic is about being vegan or not. This is one of the most asked questions I'm getting. What should I be eating as a vegan? Is it healthier to be vegan than a non-vegan? And yeah, this is a big topic. So we are here to clear some things up, and I'm really happy to have you here who have been doing a lot of research on this topic.
Yeah.
So where do we start?
You get a lot of questions on this topic because I think there's a lot of confusion, on is it healthier to be plant-based or not? Is it more environmentally friendly to be plant-based? I think there's a lot of things people care about these days that feed into that. And I think, we definitely should address it because there's many reasons. There's fitness goals. There's, being a good citizen. You want to do all the things right. And I think there's a lot of conflicting information about there. And how bad is it really to eat animal protein? We can discuss all of these things.
One thing that I would love to ask right off the bat is there a correlation between meat and cancer?
So there has been a lot of studies on this, and so the short answer is yes, but not all meat, okay? Not even all red meat, which is the most demonized. Where the most research what it has mostly shown is that the carcinogens in meat come from charred meat. So overcooking meat, blackened meat, right? Which, sometimes is the tastiest part of the meat. But if you eat that all the time, there's actually the chemical composition in charred meat is a carcinogen. So if you're eating that regular, you really like your well-done steaks on the grill, over time, that can be a risk factor.
And if you don't do that?
If you don't do that, then the risk is actually minimal. The other area where people have focused on potential carcinogen is cured meats. So cured meats that have nitrates in them. They're on the label. It's kind of a preservative, okay? If you eat a lot of, cured meats in the package, and it says they're preserved by nitrates, nitrates have been shown to be a carcinogen as well. So if you don't eat overcooked meat and you don't eat processed, cured meats, and you're eating your chicken breast or your filet mignon or even your T-bone, the cancer risk there is actually very low.
Thank you for clarifying that. And so if you choose to be vegan, what are the things you should consider and think about?
What I want to say right off the bat is you can be completely healthy being eating plant-based. And you can reach your fitness goals being plant-based as well. The difference is that you have to put in a lot of thought and planning into if you're going to be a plant-based bodybuilder, or even if you're going to be a plant-based athlete, or you simply just want to have a nice physique. If you're working towards a fitness goal and you want to be plant-based, it takes a little thought, more so than if you're an omnivore who eats meat. And I can explain sort of why that is. The primary reason is that animal protein You don't have to think about it. It contains all the amino acids. The full repertoire of amino acids is in every ounce of meat, whether it's fish or chicken or pork or steak or whatever you choose to eat. If you are plant-based, not all plant proteins have that spectrum of amino acids. Many do, but many don't. Many of the most common ones that people use as their protein source, many beans, many leafy greens, things like that, are often deficient in one or more amino acid. So if you eat a very narrow spectrum, if you're plant-based and you really love your garbanzo beans and that's your protein source, well, you're going to create an inadvertent deficiency in one of these essential amino acids because that garbanzo bean may not have all of them. So you actually have to look at all of your protein, your plant-based protein sources, look at the amino acid profiles and say, okay, I need to combine this bean with that grain, with that plant, and then I can get the full spectrum. Whereas if you eat meat, you eat a chicken breast and it's all right there, you know, and you don't have to do any combining. So it's less work, right?
What happens if you eat that vegan protein source that you love and you become deficient in one of the essential amino acids? What will actually happen?
Well, there's a spectrum of deficiency. Severe, protein malnutrition will result in things like frailty, both in bones, but also muscle loss. We call sarcopenia, muscle wasting. In the most extreme cases, you've probably seen the National Geographic pictures of the kids with the big bellies. That's actually a form of protein malnutrition. When they are weaned too early off of their mother's milk and they don't get enough protein, they actually get fluid buildup in their stomach. You have to really be really severely deficient to get to that point, but that's what it looks like, okay? But at the cellular level, you can create problems in repair, rebuilding. If you get an injury, a burn, a cut, you won't repair as quickly. And so there's a spectrum of how you'll see it manifest. But none of them are things that you want.
So a lot of people watching this video are plant-based. So how can we help them to optimize? What should they be thinking about?
Well, I think one thing is, you really got to be conscious about your protein sources. Like I said, you can do it very healthily, right? But there's, the thing that nobody likes math, including myself, but there's a caloric, you have to balance protein and calories. And what's your goal? What's your fitness goal? So if you're overweight and you're trying to lose weight, obviously exercise is one component, but you have to reduce calories to a degree, okay? However, if you are like, I have to reduce my calories, but I know I need to get to 90 grams of protein a day to help build my muscles. Well, to get to 90 grams of plant protein, because plants in general on a gram for gram basis have less protein than meat does, you have to eat more plant protein than you would of an animal source. So you're actually getting more calories. And so you start to get into an area where you have to sacrifice your protein or your calories, and it gets tricky. So you have to look at your protein sources, your plant-based protein sources. Look at the calorie load, because beans have a lot of calories in them actually, but people use it as primarily as their protein source. So if you need 30 grams of bean protein, you're actually going to exceed the calories of a simple chicken breast. And you might actually put on weight in the end.
And that's also what I'm struggling the most. I have a lot of vegan clients, and to make sure that you don't overeat calories or fat and carbs and get enough protein.
Right.
And on top of that, make sure you get all the essential amino acids. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of work to be vegan, but it can be done.
Yeah.
And a lot of these protein sources, as you said, have a lot of either fat or carbs in them. And I call them hybrids. I just like to call them hybrids because they contain, a little bit of everything.
And And to add on that, and I'm curious your thoughts. My thought is, if you're going to be vegan and strict vegan, a way to get around that is to introduce protein shakes into your day, because there you can actually get pure protein and without a lot of the carbs and the fat in there. So I feel like if you're going to be vegan and you have fitness goals, you have to have shakes in there. Yeah,
and we should also be clear that, a protein powder is not necessarily bad for you at all. So wouldn't you agree on that?
Yeah, I don't have any issues with protein powders, whether it's milk-based casein or if it's pea-based, pea protein-based, or soy-based, whatever you're.
It's always better to try to eat real food over powder, I always say. But they can be really useful in a case like this, or even if you're on the go. I use the protein powders. I use that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And one example we can actually show everybody is where having a supplement can be helpful is, if you compare a type of plant that has all of the amino acids, how much of that do you have to eat if you're going all natural, just eating food? How much of that do you have to eat to be equivalent to, let's say, a 4-ounce piece of steak, And let's take a look at what that looks like and whether in your day can you handle eating that amount of, let's say, spinach.
So here we got a 4-ounce steak, and we're gonna pour up 40 cups of spinach to get the equivalent protein.
Yes, so spinach is a great source of the full spectrum of your amino acids. It has all the amino acids in it, as does this piece of steak. However, to get the equivalent amount of your amino acids that are in this piece of steak, you have to eat this 40 cups of spinach. Unless you really, really like spinach in your day and you eat it for every single meal, that's not going to be palatable for everybody. So I'm not advocating you then have to eat the steak, but it just means you need to combine the spinach then with other types of proteins. It can be the thing that if you really like your garbanzo beans that are maybe deficient, add spinach, combine your plant proteins so that you actually get the full spectrum with less food. That's one way to do it. Or as we talked about, for maybe one meal, you add a protein shake, and that also can be a way to supplement it instead of eating these 40 cups.
So that's a good way of showing people how much you need to eat to get it's around 30 grams of protein, right?
Yes, correct. That steak was.
So you can either do a little more than a scoop of protein powder, that 4-ounce steak, or 40 cups of spinach to get to 30%. Of protein.
Yeah, exactly. To get to 30 grams of protein, or which we didn't show up there, or combine different vegan protein sources. But the point being, you just have to really, you have to think about it and put some effort into that.
Yeah, we're not trying to mess with you out there. If you're vegan, you don't have to eat 40 cups of spinach. We're not trying to show you how hard it is, but it's definitely something to think about when you choose to be vegan. It takes a lot of work and knowledge.
Right, and I think every type of eating pattern you choose should be done consciously. It shouldn't be because your friend does it or your influencer does it or someone you watch. I think whatever you choose to do, if it makes sense to you, you really, do your own research and understand what does that mean nutritionally for you, or consult with experts. But nothing should be done loosely, because diet it's the thing that's feeding your body and can determine health or disease.
Exactly. And I work with people that are vegan, people that are non-vegan, and I will meet people where they are. I'm not trying to tell people how they should live their lives, but Yes, being vegan is a lot of work. Let's agree on that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Susanne. It's always great having you around because you know so much about these topics. And yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. So this is a part of a 3-part series with Susanne. And if people want to know more about what you do, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram. My whole Instagram is devoted to translating the latest research into understandable forms, sort of focused on gut health, but we talk on topics of nutrition as well. So you can follow me there. Just look up Suzanne Devcoda on Instagram, and you're welcome to DM me if you have specific questions about your own diets or gut issues, and I try to respond to everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. I'll see you next week.